Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu to some of you, and peace out to the rest of it. It's your man's Black Horse signing Black in again, this time asking you to hit again the share button after you hear this, and then decide on the like or subscribe button for yourself later. But the message is more important than the messenger. And if it wasn't, I would not have recorded this. Now listen up. This hit me like a ton of bricks when I was on the panel with Obsidian, in which he was asking Christalyn Kerazin and Shira 7-1 with her witchcraft performance self and Nicole Michelle to show their work. That's a valid question to ask. They're sitting up here talking and preaching, and I have to say, you know what? Yeah, show their work. And some people are going to say, well, why don't you show your work? Well, one, I'm not going to put my name and my face out there because there's some cyber vigilantes that wanted to take me out a while back. And they were actually in contact with some either active or former soldiers at the time to try to shoot me. And I know because one of them told me that. So I can't do that now. But then again, I'm not sitting up here telling you that I'm out here getting the women. And I already told you, I've been treated so differently that I wouldn't even try it. I'm not going to approach another ADOS woman again. It's not happening. Somebody could fix us up, introduce me, I could be approached, and she still got to have her stuff. She got to be bad and come to me. That's not realistic. But that's what it would take. So, no, you can't say, well, Blackheart, you show your work, but look, Minister Jap's already showing his work. And he goes harder than anybody else on black women, African-American women. Oh, and by the way, as far as that video goes, something tells me that wasn't him. But even still, even still, that's not the point. He's not getting on there talking about knockout and this sort of thing. He's on there talking about how women are running game on men and how men need to quit simping and letting them play these games and how men need to stop listening to these old 90s niggas. And it's true. I mean, he broke down the movie Boomerang. Great, excellent. That was actually a good breakdown of it. So anyway, I would say this, though. See, when a man gets on YouTube and he gives you the game, then he's automatically making a sacrifice, especially if his face is out there. For what reason? Because any woman that sees him on YouTube is going to decide at that point that he ain't got no game, so that's going to ruin his chances. Because now it's out, the cat's out the bag at that point. But these women are not sitting there telling you that they're getting all these men. They're just simply telling you that they can give women the game so that the women can get the men they want, and that's completely different. So the request is very valid. But I was on the panel, and it hit me like a ton of bricks how it is that black men in the West are going to be judged every time. See, not every black woman's going to judge the men like this. I understand that, but the black women that are not going to, they're, like I said, they're committed or married. That's what's happening. That's what's going on right now. They're committed or they're married. They're not out there like this. They're not talking. So you're not going to hear them say, you're not going to hear them express a fair and balanced assessment of you, brothers. The ones out there that are available now, that's a different story. They're going to you're going to hear them say this. You've already heard them say these things. And when I tell you what it is, you'll know it all come together. I was sitting on the panel and I want to explain this. I mentioned the analogy of the store run by some non-black other person of color, Arab, in the community with good snacks, letting the most disrespectful furthermuckers walk in and say, I'm going to take this and this, and then steal most stuff, and then charge you above and beyond the sticker price for the same things because they're using you to pay for what they're giving for free to somebody else, right? Y'all heard that. Mrs. Dessalines adeptly pointed out that you got guys who are out here dogging out good women too. This does exist. We never said that doesn't happen though. You see, we men have to understand that we don't get away with any of our effery. The funny thing about it is we don't get away with things that are not even effort. We don't get away with honest mistakes that we make because of something we did not know. And that's where it's different. Whereas women can knowingly do something wrong to men and mistreat and misjudge men, and this whole thing of calling them out for it is relatively new. You don't have TV shows right now. It hasn't hit Hollywood where, you know what, if you want to keep an audience and give a message that's palatable, you're going to have to hold women accountable for the BS they do. This hasn't hit yet. The movies are always against patriarchy. And they make you think that patriarchy and chauvinism are the same thing. And in fact, they're not. No, not at all. Now, chauvinism is a rough exaggeration. And to be honest with you, it's never really behooved most men to be that way. It's something that's existed, but it's not nearly as common as what everybody makes it out to be. So anyway, she had definitely pointed this out, but I wanted to tell her that there was a reason for it. But I didn't get a chance to. A lot of people on the panel, and you got to give everybody a chance. When these men dog out good women, and they know that these are good women, and they lie about it, all of us would agree that this nigga's lying and he's dogging out a good woman. But when a man really does not know that he's dogging out a good woman at the time he's doing it, it is because he thinks that these women are hoes. And why does a man think this way? Most men that are now adults today started off thinking that women liked nice guys when they were young. They started off thinking that women liked exactly what the girls in class said they liked, teachers said they liked, their own aunts, mothers, and grandmothers and sisters told them that women liked. They believed it. They didn't know anything else. They became these things. They found that the women still were always finding other things and moving and adding more things to the goalpost and moving the goalpost further out of the field. And they found that it was always something else that they needed to do. And then guess what? These men got older and they realized these bitches that they trying to holler at are already pursuing the dudes that are nothing like what they've said they wanted. And when these men go back to some of their female relatives or their lady friends and they ask what's going on, now all of a sudden they start to hear things like charm and swag and terms that have a meaning but a very nebulous meaning. They're not clear and they're not easily defined. Terms that paint a picture in somebody's mind, but different people are going to define it differently, and it starts a philosophical argument and a debate as soon as somebody asks for a definition. Nigga shit. We ain't got time for it. Done. If a woman can sit up here and talk you to death, and then you ask her to explain what women want, and she's at a loss for words, she needs to shuck up about everything else. That's real. And I'm talking about our mothers, grandmothers, aunts, and sisters. That's what I'm talking about. Got all this talking to do. Hold up. So what kind of man does she like? What kind of man do most women like? They're at a loss for words? Stop them right there in your tracks. Nope. You're not going to tell me no long, drawn-out story about nothing. I don't want to hear it. You can't tell me what women like. You can't tell any man what women like. But when I was younger, you could tell me that they liked something that I later found out they didn't. See, what I'm getting at is this. Men don't do this to the female relatives in their family. They might oversimplify it when the girls are young, but over time they explain more and more and more. They don't hide what men want and what'll work. They don't do that with these women. Women understand men, they just don't give a rat's behind. Women know that men get sick and tired of listening to these long, drawn-out stories about how bad their day went at work. They know this. They just don't give a rat's ass. They're going to vent to you all day long. They know men hate nagging. They just don't care if they're going to nag. That's the difference. What I'm getting at is that women understand men. Now, there are women who do care, and they understand men and what men like, and they do care, and they get snatched up. And then there are many women who know and they just don't fivaguck. They're not there to do anything that a man likes because the culture is against it. They're socialized to never do anything simply because a man would like it. Don't do that. That's supporting the patriarchy. And it would never do something like that. Men actually legitimately do not know and understand women. So these men who dog these women out, really coming back later and saying, I didn't know she was that good, they really didn't know. So they really thought that, they're all bitches, because why? When they weren't assholes, women showed them their inner bitches. And that's what it came down to. Men are forced to think logically. If a man is consistently being dogged out, he's going to put together what did they all have in common and what did I do that was in common with them. When he realizes that the only thing they all had in common was that he didn't dog them out, then he understands, damn, I got to dog them out. Or that he was kind to them, he understands, I got to stop being kind. I got to not care. That's what it takes. I'm up here being considerate, buying them chocolates and flowers, sending them a nice text, you doing all right this morning? All that stuff. I'm doing all this, and they fucking some nigga that doesn't do any of this stuff. That's what these men learn. So that's why it is that you got guys who walk around here thinking that doing anything nice at all is simping. They think this way because they've really been taught that by women. I know that myself. I was in a Muslim chat group once on FB. And I remember some of these Muslim women were in there. They started telling these wild stories about the dumb stuff that their friends were doing. And then others would get on there and say, well, girl, I can see why they doing it. I'm like, no. See, you Muslim. You can't co-sign that junk. You're not allowed to co-sign it. None of us are. And when I started saying it, they say, oh, Blackheart, shut up. You a fundamentalist. Why? Because I'm saying that we got to follow the rules that we agree to? No. Somebody might be doing this and someone in our group knows about it, tells us the story. But that doesn't mean you get up here and start co-signing it. Not claiming that you Muslim and not in a Muslim group. You know what happened? On Facebook Messenger, one of the group members called me up. And she told me, hey, yo, Blackheart, I'm just letting you know they talking about you behind your back. They calling you a simp. And see, what I said had nothing to do with simping. Yet and still, the women threw this term around, calling me a simp, because what I was telling them was that as Muslim women, they were supposed to be above and beyond the stuff they were talking about and co-signing. And she said that they were saying to each other that this was simping, because I was being diplomatic. So if I had this experience and I'm relatively inexperienced, then that means others have had even worse experiences. That's why you got these young guys walking around with this wrong idea in their head. Everything nice ain't simping, but they don't know that. They genuinely don't know this. Because that's what's been thrown at them, not just by men, but by women too. And I'm getting somewhere with this. The title of this is How Western black men will be judged, even though it's not all Western black women that are going to judge like this. The fact is, every last Western black man will be judged like this, because a few women, or the many women that will do this judging, are going to get they're enough to where they all come and cover every man, and every man has to experience one of them. It's like bad people in general, they may not even be a majority, but everybody's going to have a turn with one. Most of us are going to have multiple turns in life at the hands of some bad feather muckers. Well, this is one of them cases. The title is that because of this. Every last one of you, brothers, have been and will be judged by one thing, and that is whatever the hell you don't have. That's it. Even if you are a super select guy, but you ain't responsible, or you just ain't loaded with money, they're going to get on you about that. If you're responsible and you're loaded and you're select even for visual reasons, then they're going to find something else you don't have, because every human being, man and woman, and every shade has to lack something, because we're human. But what you got to understand is, if you are a Western black man, that Western black woman is going to judge you by what you lack and nothing else. You will all have your turn at this, multiple turns actually. And this is why it is that men they genuinely don't know women. By the time men figure women out, we're old. And my son's age group is the first age group I've seen to have some knowledge, red pill knowledge of women, to have some knowledge of what women don't want them to know about women while they were this young, 15 and younger than that even. Son's 18 now. He's been knowing this stuff since he was 12 because I told him. I got ready to go back and red pill him one last time last summer. He told me he started red pilling me. The only thing he didn't know was how you pronounce the acronym MGTOW. I said they pronounce it MGTOW. Oh. And he didn't know what IBMOR was. I told him, he said, yeah, that's me. He understood it. That's real. That's the first age group to be that young and have some working knowledge of it as a whole. And what most of those young guys are saying is, well, now that we know this stuff, we're just going to leave these women alone. Because we see what we have to be for them to be impressed. We're not willing to be that. I'm not willing to go out of my way. If my talent is something that is unathletic, I'm not willing to go out of my way and be captain of the football team so I can get the draws. That's not my talent anyway. I'm not willing to sit up here and be one of them dope boys so I can get the draws. I'm not selling dope. To get the draws, I got to risk going to jail where I got to fight off another dude to keep him out of my draws. Man, get out of here with that mess. That's what these women want? How stupid are they? That's what's going on. And that's it. There is nothing else. Honestly, there is nothing else going on but that. And these young guys are saying, we're done. We'll just be by ourselves. They got robots now. They can't replace a real person, but hell, these real people are worse than a robot, so what they can't replace is already not an option anyway. The robots are the best option on the table. I mean, that's what these young cats are saying. That's it. They're looking at real life women. They're looking at their own sisters and saying she's going to be bad for whoever gets with her. If I had a daughter, I wouldn't spoil her like that, but I'm not going to have a daughter. I ain't having kids. Why? Because they'll take them away. I get stuck with child support and not much visitation because they'll take these kids away from us. I'm not sharing my money with these women. Why? Because you share one day, she just wants to take half the next. And if the law will let her take more, she'll take more. They have every reason to divorce. And it's the funny thing. Women don't initiate marriages. They only initiate divorces. Women don't initiate relationships, but they initiate the breakups. Women don't approach men, but they leave them. And they got to leave with something that they can show off to the girls. That's what you men are. You Western black men, you're just more vocally judged by Western black women than how Western white women are judging Western white men. Sisters are more vocal with it. That's really about it. But for the most part, no, if you're a Western man in general, you're judged by whatever you don't have. And that's one of the reasons that there's so much cheating going on. They're not cheating because they just need another ding-a-ling. It's not that. They're cheating because they're not willing to accept that men have limitations. That's all that is. So they have this dual mating strategy for that reason. They have to have a dual mating strategy because they cannot tolerate human limitations in a man. That's it. That's how the Western woman is socialized. And you're the victim. Because they're already told to judge you by whatever you don't have and to not take any excuses either. Mess around and let you judge them by something beyond their control because they're human and you're all kind of dog, mother cuss words and men ain't crap. You're going to hear it. The minute you turn around and apply that logic in reverse, you're whining and you're a little boy and a crybaby. Anything but accountability. And you're the victim. So the way you're going to be judged is by whatever you lack. And every last one of us is going to lack something because we're human. So turn around and start judging them the same way. I hope this has been a benefit. Black Heart sign and blackout. Assalamu alaikum.